I'm Grant Smith, Parliamentary Candidate for Maidenhead, and I'd like to talk to you about why I'm standing against Prime Minister Theresa May. I make no secret of the fact that I think Brexit will be a disaster for this country. It's still beyond me how what were the rantings of UKIP and a blustering Tory fringe became our national policy. However, I don't propose a new referendum or reversing the decision to leave the EU. I'm standing on a platform of protecting democracy. We've made this bed and we have to lie in it. I don't, though, believe I have to lie in it quietly. The referendum campaign was shockingly dishonest. It's a shame on us all we took the small-minded nonsense we were fed to heart. But it's a great shame on our politicians, many of whom are now in senior government positions. We've been told we have to put the divisions of the referendum behind us in the interest of national unity. Well, maybe, but this cannot mean that politicians are not accountable for lies told during the campaign. This cannot stand. If in politics victory justifies unscrupulous behaviour which brought it about, there will never again be reasons for politicians to tell the truth. We've seen this writ even larger in the States. It's been called post-truth politics, as if in some way this is how things will be in the future. But we don't have to accept this. I intend to hold our politicians accountable for what they say and what they do. Now, Mrs May had maintained a fig leaf of Remain sentiment during the campaign. I was initially prepared to give the benefit of the doubt, but in a conference speech this year, she told us that if we're citizens of the world, we're citizens of nowhere. This worried and angered me. The thrust of her speech was the referendum had shown there was a lot of small-minded, xenophobic nationalism in the country, and the Conservative Party had recognised this and now wanted to embrace it. Then she called this election. I happen to agree this is the right thing to do. Since the vote, Brexit policy had been determined by a small cabal of pro-Brexit ministers who were elected on an entirely different agenda. They tried to tell us they had the right to decide what all the corollaries of the referendum result, a simple yes-no vote you'll remember, were, and implying that we've all consented by narrowly voting to leave. Mrs May is right. We should vote in an election where her party has set out its Brexit policy in a manifesto. I only struggle to understand why, until a few weeks ago, she thought differently. However, in calling the election, Mrs May has implied that after the election, with a legitimate mandate, questioning her Brexit policy will somehow be treacherous and un-British. I don't accept this. At this time, scrutiny and opposition are more important than ever, and any suggestion that it should be suppressed is frankly below her. The current weakness in the Labour Party makes this all the more crucial. I'm sure there will be many votes against Jeremy Corbyn this election which are not intended as ringing endorsements of hard Brexit. Labour is not providing effective opposition at the moment, so it must fall to others to fill that gap. This makes it sound as if my campaign is purely about Brexit. This isn't really true. It's about bigger issues. Over the last few decades, this country and the Western world has made great strides in becoming a kinder, more tolerant, more inclusive, as well as more prosperous place. The European wars of our grandfathers seem things of the past. But we've seen over the last few years, in America, in France, in Eastern Europe, a move away from this liberal society, which I treasure. I see the beginnings of this happening in Britain. Xenophobia and unsightly nationalism are becoming more acceptable. There's even been sabre-rattling about Gibraltar, for heaven's sake. Mrs May intend this snap election allows her to claim that a mandate is absolute, and any further criticism of a Brexit policy is somehow un-British. She may feel that the national and world zeitgeist towards a less tolerant, more liberal societies is something we should embrace rather than oppose. I hope, in my small way, to show that we don't all have to agree.